The Sega Mega Drive was launched in Japan on October 29, 2018. This means that this month we celebrate the console's 30th anniversary. I can think of no better way of celebrating this momentous occasion than counting down my personal top 30 favorite Sega Genesis or Mega Drive games. One for each year the console has been out. Before we begin, here are a few simple rules. Only one game per main franchise. This means that if I name Sonic 2, you won't be seeing Sonic 1 or 3 on the list. But you could see Sonic Spinball, as the game is a spin-off and completely different from the main Sonic titles. The second point is that I'm going to be focusing on games that were exclusive at the time for the Mega Drive or where the Sega port is the definitive version. Finally, most of the footage here will be taken from other YouTubers, as I don't physically own most of these games sadly. I'll be sure to give credit to everyone. So without further ado, here we go! Number 30. Shining the Darkness. Shining the Darkness is the lesser-known predecessor of the Shining Force series. Created by the same team on a skeleton budget, this is a first-person RPG not unlike my beloved Wizardry series. The game has random combat and it's incredibly easy to get lost. So I'd recommend getting some graph paper and draw a map as you play the game. Any game that requires the player to draw maps or keep a handy physical journal on the side will always have a soft spot for me, as I love the extra layer of immersion it brings. And then you have the awesome Saturday morning cartoon art style the Shining series was so famous for back in the day. Not an RPG for everyone, but for those of us who grew up on the more hardcore dungeon crawlers, you'll definitely get a kick out of this one. Number 29. Herzog Zwei. Part overhead shooter, part RTS, this game was created by the same team behind the awesome Thunder Force series, and even uses the same engine as Thunder Force 2. It also went on to inspire Doom 2, which is the game responsible for creating the RTS genre as we know it. In Herzog Zwei, your objective is to destroy the enemy base while protecting your own. You'll be creating units and transporting them to key locations where they'll attack the enemy base or take over smaller bases which give you resources. The game is fun against a computer, but it's even better against a friend. There's also a free-to-play spiritual sequel called Airmech, which I highly recommend. Overall, this game is great fun. Number 28. Jewel Master. Jewel Master is not a good-looking game. The graphics are kind of basic in fact, but man, I love the concept, execution, and level design here. This is an action platformer where you start out with a ring that gives you a fairly basic attack. But as you progress through the game, you'll acquire more rings which give you new attacks and abilities. The cool thing here is that you can mix and match different rings for different effects. So for example, you can use the fireball ring to throw a fireball, or you can mix the wave and fireball rings to create a wave of fireballs. Discovering all the possible combinations and figuring out the best time to use them is what makes this game so great. Oh, and the music ain't bad either. Number 27. Batman. Created by Sunsoft, the same studio behind Batman for the NES, This game is much closer in visual style to the Tim Burton movie. And it's also a bit easier if you ask me. Abilities like the wall jumping and the guns are gone, but now you have a grappling hook, a double jump, and there are even a few shooter levels. The game also has an amazing soundtrack and is overall a very fun game to play. Number 26, Light Crusader. I have a confession to make. I am generally not a Treasure fan. Their games often don't click with me, but this one is an exception. This is an isometric RPG with a focus on puzzle solving and platforming. In fact, this is where most of the game's fun comes from. Figuring out the solution to a puzzle in order to proceed to the next room or further explore the dungeon you're in. It also has a neat magic system that works a lot like Jewel Master, in which you can mix different types of magic for different effects. Number 25, Warson. You might know this series better as Langrisser. Langrisser is a tactical JRPG series in the vein of Shining Force or Fire Emblem, which sadly, with the exception of this one game, never launched outside Japan. What I like about this game is that battles aren't just individual duels. Instead, you see both armies clash as the soldiers die out. The game also features a ton of in-battle dialogue, great music, and is extremely difficult. Most people can't even get past the first mission without a few attempts. And trust me, it doesn't get any easier from there on. If you're into brutally difficult tactical JRPGs, you should definitely look into this one. Number 24, Golden Axe. I gotta be honest here, I have no idea if I'm being blinded by nostalgia on this one. I can think of several beat-em-ups that are technically better than Golden Axe, and the Mega Drive or Genesis version is a few steps down from the arcade version. But I love this game. I used to play the MS-DOS version of Golden Axe all the time, which in of itself was a downgraded port of the Mega Drive version, or upgraded depending on your preference. Now I'm a dragon riding a dragon that shoots other dragons. The game is short and there's little to differentiate between all three playable characters. There's never too many enemies on screen and the enemy AI is predictable. But I just love this game. Something about the art style, music, hit detection, and combat is just so satisfying. I'll never get tired of that distorted death scream. God, I love this game. Number 23, Gynoug or Wings of War. Wings of War is a shmup by the studio behind the Joe and Ikki games. In my opinion, the art style is the game's strong point, as you'll fight bizarre-looking enemies, witness some really cool backgrounds, and screen-filling bosses which look awesome. The action is fast and frantic, and has an interesting power-up system in which you can use one power-up while storing a different one in reserve. The power-up can also level up if you catch 2 or 3 copies of the same icon in a row, without picking up an icon for a different power-up. If you want to know more about my thoughts on this game, be sure to check out my review on it. Number 22, Elemental Master. Elemental Master is yet another game by the same studio behind the Thunder Force games. In this vertical shmup, you can choose which level you want to tackle first, and when you beat it, you gain a power-up elusive to the stage you just won. So, I guess you could say it has a bit of Mega Man in it. What really makes this game amazing is the level design and enemy placement. You often feel like you're raining some serious destruction. But make no mistake, this game is brutally difficult. Number 21, Story of Thor or Beyond Oasis. Story of Thor is an action-adventure developed by Ancient, the same studio behind Streets of Rage 2. People often call this game a Legend of Zelda clone for the Mega Drive, and while I see the similarities, I think it has its own distinct gameplay and personality. For one thing, it's clearly more combat-focused than Nintendo's game. The cool thing here is that as you clear different dungeons, you'll gain access to elemental genies which can fight with you or help clear puzzles. Their powers will also have different effects depending on which piece of the environment they're used on. Oh, and I love the art style for the cutscenes and the game itself. Number 20, Panorama Cotton. This Japan-exclusive Mega Drive title is Space Harrier on steroids. Graphically, it's the most impressive Mega Drive game I've ever played, featuring a ton of sprite scaling and 2.5D effects that should be forgiven for thinking they couldn't be done on the Mega Drive. The action is super fast and super fun, with tons of power-ups that you can pick up. Something which I always thought was sorely missing from Space Harrier. And Cotton even gains experience as she kills enemies. And the music is also really good and fitting. Sadly, the game is also very, very expensive. If somebody wants to donate this game, I'd be really happy. Number 19, Rocket Knight Adventures. Oh yeah, now we're talking. This game was released just as Konami started to take the Mega Drive serious, and by God, it's glorious. You play as a possum wielding a sword and a jetpack. You can use the jetpack to attack, zoom forward, jump really high, ricochet off walls, and the cartoony physics feel so good. What I love about this game is that even though the jetpack has a variety of issues, the game never stops to tell you any of them. Instead, you learn their uses through level design, as you're slowly faced with a problem and the player quickly deduces the best way to get around it. It's this sort of level design that I love about Rocket Knight Adventures. Then you have the shmup levels and even a giant robot level. This game is just full of ideas and charm. Oh, and you gotta love the art style, music, and even the tiny little graphical effects that are easy to miss now, but were pretty uncommon for the day, like how you can see your own reflection in the water. This game is just all around great. Number 18, Comix Zone. Comix Zone is a beat-em-up by Sega, which takes place inside a comic book. Characters have speech bubbles, you walk from panel to panel, you can rip entire pages, the pages can catch on fire, and the enemies are drawn into the comic book itself. Stylistically, this is all great stuff. I do feel a lot of people don't really get the combat in Comix Zone though. You only have one attack button, but you're supposed to rotate the directional button to show high punches, high kicks, low punches, and low kicks. As you vary your attacks, the enemy can't block all of them. You also pick up items which you store in an inventory, which can heal you or unleash death and destruction on your enemies. You also have multiple paths and even some light puzzle solving, all wrapped in a grungy soundtrack. So good! Number 17, Arcus Odyssey. Arcus Odyssey is a pretty unique, if flawed game. You pick from one of 4 characters and it basically plays like an overhead shooter. The difference here is that the levels are large and maze-like, so you need to explore each area, open chests, collect items, that sort of thing. So I guess you could say the game is sort of a free-roaming shooter with a dash of RPG thrown in for good measure. You also gotta love the awesome anime cutscenes, which are well above most 16-bit entries. The game isn't perfect, but it's really unique and well worth the playthrough. Number 16, Soleil or Crusader of Centy. Soleil or Crusader of Centy, depending on your region, is another game that is often compared to The Legend of Zelda. Though just like Story of Thor, this one also has its own personality. In this game, you play as Corona, no, not the bear, who during the first portion of the game loses his ability to speak to humans and instead gains the ability to talk to animals. You then use this ability to recruit up to 16 animals to join you, each with different abilities that will help you progress through the game. You can bring 2 animals with you at any time, which you can mix and match for any situation. In time, you regain the ability to speak to humans and even learn a few new skills yourself. Also, I really love the art style and colors in this one. It's just such a pretty game to look at. I should also point out that if you live in the US, this game is crazy expensive. It is a bit cheaper in Europe though. And there you have it. Part 1 of my personal top 30 Sega Genesis or Mega Drive games. Now, please remember that this is my personal list and it will be most likely very different from yours. Part 2 will be launching next week, and in the meantime, I'd love to hear what are your favorite Mega Drive or Genesis games. Hey everyone, thank you for watching St1ka's Retro Corner. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. All that fun social media stuff. I also want to give a special shout out to everyone backing my recently launched Patreon. So a big thank you to Matt from Big Eagle Corporation, who is also the developer behind Tanglewood for the Mega Drive. Dave Oberlin, JB Maru, Mr. Green Fox, Stuart, Mark Petox, God I hope I pronounced that correctly, and Necrid. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Bye!